Woo! Woo!
How are you? Are you okay? I care about the rest of you, but I really care about my girlfriend's mother the most when they're into seizures. Wow, well, the problem here with doing a Q&A is that I'm having a very difficult time. There we go. Seeing anybody. Okay, cool. Okay, so anybody have any questions for me? Okay. Yes, sir.
From start to finish, what was the biggest change in the storyline? Is there anything you had to leave behind, or you
They're really from, you know, I mean, I originally wrote the script in 2002, and then over the next few months, I came up with what was the eventual script, and then from that time, almost nothing has changed. There was one point, there was one thing that I pulled back on when they beat up the guy that keyed the car, or they think keyed the car. Bolte smashed his head in the first draft. She killed him. And my first producer, Chuck Roven, said, yeah, that might be too much. You might lose the audience there. And I think he was actually right, so I cut back. But other than that, nothing.
How come he never got divorced or kept the money?
How come what?
How come he never got divorced or kept the money?
Divorced?
Yes.
How?
Married.
I'm sorry.
His wife left him twice. He never got divorced.
Rainn never got divorced in the movie? Well, at the end of the movie, he is divorced. You know, he's divorced at the end. She left him, and he gets divorced. But I didn't show every beat in between. He also went to the bathroom a few times. I didn't show that either. There's lots of stuff. He masturbates occasionally. Yes?
He was very religious and had visions that may or may not have been dreams. I was just wondering if you, like, what the purpose of making him a very, he seemed Christian, if that was...
I don't think he was Christian,
you don't
frankly.
think he was Christian?
No, I actually don't. I think he's inspired by a Christian superhero, but when you hear him pray, he really only mentions God. He doesn't so much mention Jesus. I mean, he might be slightly Christian, but for the most part, he seems like pretty much a regular monotheist. Was that your question?
Well, I was wondering more like why you made him religious, if there was any...
Well, you know, I just think that, you see a lot of movies today. You see whole, movies about people dying from cancer for 2 hours, and they don't ever bring up God. It's like, you think about the things that are taboos in cinema, and incest, or, drug use, or violence, or sex. But really the biggest taboo is any talk of God, whether it's positive or negative. I think it's a conversation in ordinary people's lives. And it's just something that I think it's something that hasn't been mined much on screen. So it's something I have interest in, that discussion. And I think that's part of what the movie is. Is he crazy? Is he having real spiritual experiences that are leading him to something actually real? I think that's the question of the movie.
Was there a catalyst for Frank's character?
A what?
A catalyst, something behind something that spurred Frank's character, someone?
Oh, I think of Frank as my inner child, actually. And I feel like I probably come off as pretty comfortable in people, but inside I feel like a big, awkward lummox. And so I really relate to Frank a lot. So in some ways, this is my autobiography. Except for I kill people in secret, not out in the open like he does.
sorry,
Nothing.
Two really basic plot questions.
Yeah.
Number one, after they almost smashed that guy's head in at the key to the car, the next scene, Ellen Page's character is not wearing a shirt.
Yeah, she's getting undressed.
Okay.
Because what happens is he gets completely, he goes out in the car and gets completely undressed, and he's in his regular clothes, but she's just arguing the whole time, so she never gets a chance to get fully undressed. She just takes off her top.
And the first scene when the Rainn and Liv Tyler are having sex and they're like crying, is that?
Is that what?
I mean, I'm just wondering what your intentions the most in that scene?
To show them fucking? I'm sorry. No, I mean, it's just that's how they got together, you know? I mean, it's like a lot of people say in the movie that you know, when they read about the movie, you know, it's like Liv Tyler and Rainn Wilson. That would never happen in real life. You know, Rainn Wilson isn't the best looking guy, and Liv Tyler's one of the most beautiful women in the world. But I think that, you know, I've known a lot of people who have gotten sober, including myself, frankly. And it's like when you get sober, you're really, like, you're so emotional because you've been drowning everything in drugs for a long time, that it makes you very sensitive to everything. And the first person, you're usually used to a bunch of bad relationships, the first person that's good to you for the first time is a person you fall in love with. And that's what happens with Liv and Rainn. And so that's having sex after he's good to her. Yeah.
Where was the film shot, and how long did the actual filming of the movie take? And could you talk a little bit also about you know, casting, how you got such prominent actors to feature the film?
That's a big question. We shot for 24 days, 20 days in Shreveport, Louisiana, and 4 days in Los Angeles, California. On a normal movie, you do between 12 and 20 camera setups a day. We did between 45 and 54 camera setups every single day. The story behind how I got the character, basically, my ex-wife, Jenna Fisher, is on The Office, and I wrote the script a long time ago. She always loved the script. She called me up 2 years ago and she said, "Why aren't you making that movie? I really love that movie." And I said, you know, we had financing for a while, but none of the people that wanted to do the movie I thought were right for the role. And it's a very esoteric film, it's a very dark film. My manager didn't necessarily want me to make it, and that was, you know, part of it. And then also I just couldn't find anybody for Frank. And she said, "Have you ever thought of Rainn, who I'd known for 5 years?" And I was like, yeah, that works. And I sent the script to Rainn, and he emailed or he texted me back an hour and a half later and said, "I'm 22 pages in, my hands are shaking, I'm in, I'll do this movie no matter what." And that was basically the start of it. So we just kept going from there. He gave it to Ellen, Ellen was in. My agents gave it to Liv, and she was in. It was easy. So I missed a couple clips. So yeah, you up there.
How easy was it talking to Ethan Fillion until you had another costume?
Well, I have to be very careful with Nathan because he'll do anything I ask him to do. But I will tell you that the wig was his idea. It really was. We went and he tried on the costume, and he was like, you know, I really love this Holy Avenger costume, fake muscles and all, but what I would really make it perfect is if I had long flowing Jesus hair. I said, all right.
You covered casting a little bit, but as far as the other characters, did you have anybody in mind at the time, or did someone come in and impress you? And a quick follow-up, can we ever expect any more PG porn? And like, how did you get the idea of working with actual porn stars? Like, do you have a connection there? Or?
Well, I was making a connection. No, okay, so the first question was, did I have anybody in mind? No, the only person who I actually wrote the role for was Andre Royo, who plays Hamilton in The Diner. When I was doing my second draft, The Wire had just started on TV, and I thought he played Bubbles on The Wire, and I thought he was amazing. And I'm like, I got to write a role for this guy, so I wrote that role for him. Had never met him until right before we started shooting. Other than that, there was nobody really in mind. As for PG porn, I might do more. The idea for it, you know, I came up with the idea for PG porn with my brothers, Brian and Sean, and you know, it would just seem like we came up with it a long time ago, and then when the web series stuff started happening, it seemed like a good format for that movie, for that show, and I knew that we would probably get a lot of hits if we paired those people, and we did. So that was very calculated, I guess, but it's a fun show, and I like doing it a lot, and I might do some more. We'll see.
I understand it's going to be released unrated.
Yes.
Did you attempt to submit it to the MPAA? And if you did, what did they have to say about it? And also, any plans for a sequel? More adventures for Crimson Wolf?
Sure. There's no plans for the sequel. I don't really. It seems like a self-contained story to me. So unless I was especially, you know, inspired, I don't really think that Frank ever puts on that costume again. So. No on that. IFC just agreed from the beginning to release it unrated. It was one of the things we talked about. We were the first movie to sell at the Toronto Film Festival, and we showed it on a Saturday night. We had 5 people bidding on it the next morning, and IFC was willing to kind of do things our way and release the movie with some integrity, and so that was part of the deal from the beginning.
With such a short and intense shooting schedule, did you stick to the script 100% of the time, or did you leave room for improv?
I didn't leave too much room for improv. Sometimes Rainn would throw in a line or two at the end of the scene, and there's some of that in the movie. But for the most part, we stuck to the script because the time was so precious that we needed to. I was completely, even though it seems like it's really like a rough and ready movie, every single thing in the movie was completely planned out. And so we didn't have a whole lot of improv in the movie.
How did you and Rainn talk about the character? Like, when you sit down, it's like, this guy's just going to be practice.
How did I talk about
Yeah.
Frank Darbo with Rainn?
Yeah.
Boy, that was, I don't know. Rainn and I just kind of saw eye to eye for the movie. I mean, the one thing that I know that I really wanted somebody who was going to have some respect for the character and not just play him, just like a complete loon the whole time, I love the character of Frank, and I have a lot of feeling for him. And I wanted somebody who was going to treat him in that same respect and not get too nutty with him. And there's nutty moments, but for the most part, I really liked how Rainn played it straight. And that was part of it too. It wasn't only like the character, it was the style of acting in the film. It was about keeping it somewhat natural and not making it too broad. That was really important. That was going to be a part of the filmmaking style as well, as you see, but yeah.
Could you please do that devil face for us?
Believe it or not, I get asked to do this at every Q&A. So I play the devil in the movie. I really hate it too. I really hate it. No, it's
You love it.
Yes. Nice to see all the cameras.
Between this and Slither, which movie did you have more fun making?
Not even a contest, Slither. This movie was hell to make. Total hell. It really was. It's like, I have one time I went to see Cirque du Soleil. My friend was a dancer in Cirque du Soleil. And I went, and she was dating a guy who was a trapeze artist in the show. And we went out to eat dinner after the show was over. It was Mystere in Vegas. And afterwards we went out with this guy, and I was so astonished by how amazingly beautiful this guy's work was, going back and forth on the trapeze. And I said to him, wow, it must feel awesome to be going up there every night doing that. What do you feel inside? What does that feel like? And he said, I felt nothing but stark raving terror the entire time. He's just simply afraid of falling. And that's really what I felt like the whole time we were making this movie. I was just afraid of getting my shots, It's just, every day it was just hardcore. So it wasn't fun. On Slither, we had a budget that was 8 times, we made this for a couple $1 million. Our budget was 8 times larger on Slither, 7 times larger, and so I occasionally would hang out with the cast and have a good time. There was nothing like that. I didn't get to know, I barely know Kevin Bacon because we just worked the whole time, and I haven't seen him that much afterwards. Ellen, I know because we hang out after we hang out in LA after the movie was done, but I didn't really get to know people in this movie until afterwards.
I love the opening credits with the animated cast doing the choreographed musical number. If you had the time and the budget, would you have considered doing that live action?
No, I always wanted to do it animated. No, I think that would be, no, I'd like it animated. I never thought of it until you just mentioned that, so I had to think. But no, I like it animated. I think it's, it brought in a whole other color. And it shows people at the beginning they don't know what to expect.
What were some of your influences on the overall story, like on the films or actual Hollywood, is that the Punisher?
Well, Taxi Driver's the biggest, so everybody knows that one. There's a filmmaker by the name of Lucas Moodysson who did movies Together and Show Me Love, and a Swedish filmmaker, and he's one of my biggest influences in the world. He's